Hey guys, today's story is about a wizard that tries to kill the party. This is a story about someone who has been a good friend for about 15 years, and a player in my campaign for about 3.5 years, but has always been my least favorite person to play D&D with. I'll also state up front that I can't claim that I acted perfectly as the DM, but I acted consistently with my own DMing philosophy, and I don't really regret my rulings, despite the headache they've given me. The relevant and semi-relevant characters to the story: the wizard, who dislikes authority and structured environments due to backstory; the paladin, who is not super into RP, but tries to help out in social situations; the druid, who makes up for her lack of charisma with great ideas; the bard, who is a chaotic alignment, but means well; the cleric, who is good and sensible and the party doesn't deserve him; and the barbarian, a tough guy who is surprisingly intelligent. Historically, the wizard has played characters that don't really mesh with the group and have acted hostile when people disagree with him. But his most recent character actually seemed pretty decent. He isn't a loner with a totally different outlook on life from the rest of the group, and everything seemed fine for about 5 sessions. Well, this weekend we finally got to play again after a way too long holiday hiatus. And it was like the wizard totally forgot that his character didn't suck. For background, the party was investigating strange events at a magic school, undercover as students at the request of administration. Things seemed to be going fine for a while, and then the trouble started. The first thing wasn't that bad. The party had learned that the rumor was the students were involved in whatever weird demon stuff was going on. The paladin talked his way into hanging out with a kid that had a reputation as a troublemaker, so the party could learn whether he was involved. A conversation with the kid showed the group that he was kind of a jerk, but seemed more concerned with pranking other students than with demon summoning. He even provided a name of another student who had talked to him about demons and might be their ringleader. This was enough for most of the group, who began to formulate a new plan. However, the wizard was not content with just getting this information. Instead, he launched into a lecture about how the prankster shouldn't cause trouble for people who hadn't done anything to him. The kid was unimpressed and argued back, and Druid encouraged Wizard to drop it. This kid likely wasn't their guy anyway. The wizard got annoyed at this both in and out of character, proclaiming that he had a plan that the others were messing up. The druid explained out of character why convincing a kid to stop pulling pranks wasn't relevant to the goal, and he let it go and moved on. The second thing was much, much worse. The party learned more about what was going on, and discovered the leader of the group involved in messing with the demons. They learned where they could find him, and on their way they encountered some demons. It was an easy fight, and the cleric absolutely destroyed the demons with an AoE spell, making sure that none of his party members were in the radius. If this seems like an unimportant detail, remember it later. The barbarian kicked in the door and had found 4 of the students who were involved in the demon summoning. The kids were freaking out and shouting that their leader was going too far, and they wanted to leave. Before anyone could talk to the kids and find out what was going on, the wizard announced that he was casting Evard's Black Tentacles to trap the kids. I pointed out that the spell did a good bit of damage and that would likely kill them. I always let my characters take things like that back when they would have unintended consequences. But he insisted that it made sense for his character to cast the spell anyway. Out of character, the players began to argue, with the wizard maintaining that the stress of being in a structured school was making him do this, and he would not back down from his plan. I just kind of stared in bewilderment, not wanting to take away player agency, but not wanting one of these supposed heroes to murder 4 scared children. Maybe I should have just told him no straight away, but I believe in letting my players make informed decisions and deal with the consequences. Luckily, the bard came to my rescue, casting Counterspell on the wizard. I allowed him to do it even though he already knew what the spell was, and that it could be considered both metagaming and PvP. A lucky roll later, the spell was countered, and the kids were unharmed. The barbarian talked to the kids and learned where their leader was and that he was trying to summon a bigger demon. So they continued on to the third thing the wizard did this session. The demon was summoned, and killed or knocked out the kid summoning him. The party entered combat, and the druid, out of wild shape, took a pretty big hit. A few of the other party members attacked and fought the demon before Wizard's turn. Then the wizard decided to cast Sickening Radiance in the room with 3 party members and a kid who may or may not still be alive in the AoE. Once again, we all reminded him that it would hurt the party and that he could retcon, but he stuck with it. Same excuse as before. The druid took another big hit of damage, and everyone else in the area was hurt as well. I made it clear that if the kid wasn't already dead, he was now. There was some more yelling over the table, and the paladin pointed out he couldn't even enter the room on his turn without also getting hurt. And after some persuading, the wizard finally ended the spell early rather than continuing to hurt everyone for another round. I was distracted and accidentally nerfed the enemy, but no one really cared anymore anyway, so they killed the demon and ended combat. The cleric brought the dead kid back to life and made a comment to the wizard about how, when he casts AoE spells, he makes sure that people won't get hurt. The wizard continued to defend his actions, insisting that he really hated being in a structured environment, like that somehow made it okay to attack his party members. At this point, the session was nearly over. The wizard kind of prodded people to react and RP, but the rest of the party was too stressed out to even know what to do. So they got their thanks and reward, and I wrapped it up with no fanfare whatsoever. I was over with it. Well guys, this is part 1 of part 4. I'll get around to doing the rest of the parts, but until then, it's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed. And if you have a story that you'd like me to narrate, let me know. And as always, thanks for watching, and have a good one.